We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
When I think about those nights in Montreal, all I think about is weed. Memories of city lights and packing bowls. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Quebec Connection with me and Loretta. How are y'all doing tonight? And say hello, Loretta.
How's it going, Wild T? So glad to be back here and talking about life in Quebec and what life is going on in BC. And how are thee? How are you? How was your week?
It's been a shit show, but I think it's a shit show in everybody's life because we're still dealing with, and then the stolen bike and running around after people to get the kid's bike back and dealing with the bike and
you had a lot of drama, big time. You had a lot of
nuts.
drama.
But again, we got through that, and now I've just been playing in my garden. My hands are filthy, they're just.
You got farmer's hands?
I got farmer's hands, yes, I do. And I'm not complaining. Because I went and all I wanted was 3 lavender plants, and I actually got them. I got the last 3 at a Canadian Tire. Because the deer stay away from them too, right? So we went, because that's the thing with living in the mountains. We have a lot of wildlife. And last year they ate my garden. I had a really nice vegetable garden going, and the next thing you know, I had no vegetables. The deer.
I love lavender. And you can make beautiful lavender lemonade. But I love lavender. It's one of my favorite essential oils. And yeah, I think you can put it in food, but the smell of it, it's got terpenes. It's like, I don't know, it's a cannabis cut.
It really is. It really is. Speaking of cannabis, I got some really nice sour diesel this week. And I near fell over because you don't find that often. So I was, sour diesel. What's new with you? What's been going on in your world?
Okay, well, so I wrote this petition. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, absolutely. Read it up.
All right. So, because I'm targeting restaurants and bars, and I just read an interesting statistic that they are like the 4th largest employer of Quebecers. So it's a huge, huge industry.
Absolutely.
And they are in such dire straits. They were supposed to get some funding from the feds, which I think they did, but they were supposed to go to the province that was supposed to go to them, and many of them didn't get it. Maybe like 30% are closing. So
why did that happen? Is that the Quebec government not giving them the federal money like what happened in Alberta?
Well, you know what? I don't know. You know what? I don't know. I don't know, honestly, the details of it, but they're obviously members of this Federation of Quebec bars and restaurants that are quite strong and vocal, and they are demanding, Legault's ear, so they're demanding some help for sure. Because we've been on a curfew since forever. I don't know I can't even remember when we were on curfew.
But have they not lifted that up to 9:30 now? Have the restrictions
not
eased a little bit?
But Montreal's known for its, bars and restaurants. It's really the lifeblood of the city. There's no question about it. And given my experience of being in so many different types of lounges over the last 20 years, many of them were lounge events, were in bars where there was comedy and burlesque. And why can't restaurants have what you once said, dabs with dinner, or use gourmet meals? So basically my pitch is to try and push the Bars and Restaurants Association to consider, to get there's going to be a mayor's race here in November, and to get the candidates to have this as an issue, to debate this issue, because this would help. So I'm going to read my petition, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, so petition to have mayoral candidates Valerie Plante and Denis Coderre address the recovery need for cannabis lounges. This petition will go to both their offices and the media. Montreal was once the premier city in Canada for cannabis culture. It was the first city to have head shops and major toking on the downtown streets. Tourists came for the cannabis. Sadly, since legalization, Montreal has gone backwards with cannabis police, ticketing for toking on streets, and head shops have to cover up their accessories for cannabis. Quebec is the only province where glass artists are criminalized for making pipes and bongs. Artists are the soul of the city, and cannabis did more to improve relations between French, English, and Indigenous than any politician or policy ever did. Of course, that's my favorite sentence. Social integration and sweeping change for justice should come even if we didn't have a devastating pandemic. The city is in dire need to ensure the toking tourists do not overlook Montreal because of the province's regressive cannabis policies. Although provincial policies, we expect the mayor of the city to at least stand up for cannabis culture in Montreal. At this point in legalization, any reasonable person can determine that the most harmful aspect of cannabis was always criminalization. Recovery pilot projects should address the injustice of so many arrested over decades with job opportunities. There can be different models for lounges. Why not dabs with dinner and infused gourmet nights at restaurants? We want pilot project lounge models to be debated by mayoral candidates. Lounges are the best harm reduction models, and there can be different types. For example, recreational models for bars and restaurants, and medical models to recover from the harmful war on drugs, races, and classes. The bars and restaurants need this economic boost, and we want the tourists not to overlook Montreal. We can't be pushed far behind Toronto and Vancouver. We are a world-class cannabis city. So I'm getting getting it translated. It's long. I'm getting it translated.
No, because you have to with being in Quebec. Of course, you want it translated into French and en français.
Yeah.
And that's that's a real issue too. Like the whole Bill C-10. And everybody's flipping their shit about Bill C-10. Oh, we're not gonna have any freedom of speech. Do you realize, you stupid fuckers, that the only thing they're trying to do is actually make like YouTube accountable for false advertising because of asshats like Trump? Like, it's not okay to lie. Like, straight up false advertising. That's why we have the whole whatever with broadcasting, with commercials, with radio, and YouTube. It's like us. Okay, so we might have to fall with Spreaker under some certain guidelines eventually, because we cannot sit here and broadcast complete fucking utter lies.
We're living in a time of,
but we can.
Everyone like makes mistakes, and everyone can accidentally misinform. But now we are living in such a time, and the Trump
But that's
put
the
it
thing,
on
Loretta.
steroids.
Like, here we are sitting here broadcasting live from our homes, right? We have no regulations to follow. We got Spreaker, we got YouTube, we've got StreamYard, we've got all these mediums. And we could sit here for 5 hours for free and spew complete and utter lies and have an audience of millions of people actually believing us. And that's what the thing with C-10 is that they want us not to be able to false advertise. So literally, like, you and I could be sitting here for the next hour spewing complete propaganda and lies. We could have 1 million listeners, like QAnon. You know what I mean? And they're broadcasting these live YouTube on YouTube. So you get all these nutboard tinfoil, free, we're being oppressed. Like, this is where the problem is, and why C-10 is really imperative to be put forward. Like, I believe in freedom of speech. I believe that we have a freedom to say whatever, as long as it's not hate speech. I'm the first one, you know me, you know yourself, we're the first ones to stand up for human rights. This whole thing too with these anti-lockdown, and Michelle Sikora is on live right now on S&M Sweet Shops, and we want to try and line up with her, but hashtag my body my choice is not for anti-vaxxers, motherfuckers. That's a pro-choice hashtag. How dare you take that from women? How dare you? That's just disgusting. My body, my choice. Hashtag my body, my choice. And all these fucking tinfoil hat fucking anti-vaxxers are running around using that hashtag. That's disgusting to me. Yeah. It is your body. And it is your choice. You can have, there's informed consent. You can absolutely choose not to have the vaccine. And I can absolutely choose to tell you to stay the fuck away from me or wear a mask.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, COVID really has, just somehow greatly enhanced a lot of misinformation and the crazy conspiracies and, the vaccines of microchip, from Bill Gates, it's all nonsense. And, just like these things it's human nature, it's human nature to have, it's almost like a
You know what?
brain
We
disorder.
both know we both know that we're the first ones to say, question everything. Question
Yeah.
everything, ask questions, don't believe everything you read or everything you see on TV. I was told that as a young child, growing up to my parents. I was, don't believe everything you see on TV, that's a movie, right? And it's not real. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
here we are back to this is YouTube, and it could possibly be not real, right? And that's where, like I said, like a lot of people want to misinterpret what Bill C-10 is, and of course there's going to be everybody and their dog except for Aaron O'Toole, because apparently he's missing in action again and not be around, right? So
just like Doug Ford, that wonderful lawyer activist Karma.
I know.
Her amazing like cartoons, memes. I don't know exactly what her graphic art.
Did you see the threatening Instagram message she got?
I'm sure.
Where this guy basically,
anytime you put yourself
it was a
out
voice
there.
one. It was voice, and he said, "I'm going to take pictures of you. I'm going to have a flyer. I'm going to post it all over the GTA so that everybody knows who you are, and everybody, no matter where you go, people are going to be, and just like, and it wasn't really. It was almost like calm, almost like the Joker. I'm going to, let him, and." Because she's speaking the truth, she shows up and she's I'm sorry, she's a brown woman. How dare you? How fucking dare you?
Yeah, no, it's not okay.
Right?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of ugly anger out there for sure amongst that group of people.
Well, that's what I don't quite understand is this anti-lockdown, freedom fighters, yellow vesters. All I see is swastikas and KKK's hoods. I'm sorry, that's the first vision I get. When I see tiki torches, people walking through the streets with tiki torches and raising their hands in the air like this, and then they're calling us fascists and fucking communists. Have you looked in the fucking mirror lately? You're the one holding your hand up like this. Like, hi, what? We're talking about people and having compassion, and you're calling me a communist and a fascist? What? Do you know what you're talking about?
They're really threatened. They really feel like their white identity is severely threatened. Like I think it's like a mental affliction, but they do really feel like their identity, their whiteness is like jeopardized somehow. Like, I mean, it doesn't even make any sense.
It absolutely is.
Well, I know,
white
of course
privilege.
it is. Like, of course, like all those protests are. That's exactly what they are. A despicable display of white privilege. That's how I see
really disheartening. It really, truly is. Like I said, I just can't. I can't get on board with it. I'm sorry. Like, I'm really living that live. But and it's I'm all down for that. But when you've got, like, over the weekend we had some, of course, freedom rally here too. Like, because we're a small city. Like, don't kid yourself. We got them here, and then this one on the Cranbrook Facebook page openly admitted that she was going to Calgary to attend that one. And I'm thinking to myself, you just admitted that you're leaving our area, which is, we're not supposed to do. Secondly, you're also admitting that you're going to a super spreader event in a hot spot in Alberta, and then you plan on coming back and working your retail job in Cranbrook and spreading it all over the fucking place. Like, that's what infuriates me, is that people don't think past the end of their own freedom. If you're saying I, me in every sentence over and over again, you may be a narcissist and maybe you should check yourself.
Yeah, no, because I don't know, maybe they don't follow through in just that logical thought pattern that you had. Like, I'm just stunned that they don't care enough about vulnerable people. Like, that they think it's okay, they because it's an invisible virus, somehow they feel like, you know, if other people get it, and die, it's their own fault or something. I don't know. It's just really, their way of thinking is so formed in my mind. I just can't relate to thinking it's okay to maybe make somebody sick for your own selfish reasons.
That's what I
And
don't
that's
quite understand. I don't quite understand where people think it's okay to spread it. It'd be like taking your child out when they have whooping cough and sending them off to school, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just
yeah.
can't do that kind of stuff. It's like, I mean, you can't. Cancer's not contagious, and everybody's going, oh, it's just a flu. You're right, motherfuckers. It is just a flu. You're right. It is a flu. It's a super spreading, ultra
The deadly
contagious,
flu.
deathly flu. And guess
Like,
what? Here's another news flash for you, fuckers. The vaccine's actually based off the common cold. And then they actually put all the little combinations of stuff they had to put in it, because COVID's the same kind of strain as HIV, SARS, H1N1, which are what? A form of viral, which is H1N1 was a flu. So when they built, and I had this great show that I watched the other day. It was called Run from the Virus. And it was on CNN. I don't know if you caught that, Loretta. But it was fucking phenomenal. It had every scientist that was involved. They actually showed the debunking of the Australian vaccine, because they tried using portions of the HIV protein in the vaccine. And when they were doing the trials, it would actually throw HIV proteins into the trial study. So they debunked it. Australia's vaccine never got off the ground. But in reality, they're putting proteins into your own system, so your own antibodies can fight this disease. They've done it with HIV, which is now people are living quite nicely with HIV. I hate to say, nicely, because HIV is a very harsh disease and it can absolutely kill you.
yeah,
But again, they're viruses. So
Yeah.
when you're dealing with viruses with RNA and protein, they can actually reprogram your own body to throw antibodies with put RNA into our own bodies, because we already have it. That's the beauty of this virus, or the beauty of this vaccination. So I don't know where half these people, they stood and lined up for polio. Polio had more side effects, and it was actually a live fucking vaccine, and people lined up for that without a question. Here we are having people thinking
they
that
still had. There's always been
absolutely
there's always
anti-vaxxers.
been
You bet.
even before vaccines. Like, there's always been these people who won't believe. Like, they just will immediately believe that the government is trying to control them.
1918.
And that's why we have a lockdown, because it's just a government.
It's not a lockdown. I wish people would quit calling it a lockdown.
The government doesn't like not making money. Like, the government wants to make money, and you can't make money, and everybody's losing money. Like, that's what is so stupid with their way of thinking. Like,
what's
but
funny?
also you have to have your
BC,
public health in order to make money. Like, you can't fuck with your public health.
Right. My work BC worker is from the Philippines. And she's not born Canadian. She was born in the Philippines, and she immigrated here. And she sits back to me. We were talking today because I had an appointment today with her. And she's like, people talk about depression. She goes, go live in the Philippines, where you can't even leave your house sometimes, and there's military. In fact, their mall cops walk around with Glocks on their hip. They're mall cops. There's security guards in the Philippines walk around because it's a military. Like, you can't. There's a certain time you don't leave your house. You get caught outside your house, you get shot by the military, by the police, and then these asshats want to call Canada oppressive because you have to wear a fucking mask.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
I know. We're like, they don't understand how treasured our democracy is. Okay, it's not perfect. There's corruption, blah blah blah, but be really truly engaged, and that's how you change it. Every generation should make it better. Every generation should get involved. But instead of just whining about it and never ever even like doing anything, like ever any advocacy or activism at all, but just whine. They just think they just don't understand how government runs. and how politics is fleeting too. There's never any guarantees. Things change, but then some fundamental changes could really truly happen for the better. I've seen it happen over and over again. I've been a part of it. And, but they just have this one track mind about the government and about, you know, um, their belief system that this has all been done to control them. Like it's insanity, really, is what it
I
is.
well, like I think I mentioned that maybe it was last show, or maybe we were just talking on the phone. Like if the government wanted to control us, they've had 15 months to wrap us up, microchip us, and load us all into fucking cattle cars and put us in concentration camps. They've had 14 months to do that. They have not. They have asked nicely. They have recommended. They have done everything but tell you to stay. You can still jump in your car and go get groceries. This is not a lockdown.
I mean, really and truly, my criticism of the government here has been like
The wishy-washiness.
we've had so many of these protests, and I feel like they should have been way heavier handed. They should have like arrested many more of them. That's what I wanted to see, because I just was so disgusted
Well, the thing is,
that
they were trying to make it so that it
that they were
wasn't
really
so. They were trying
lackadaisical with
exactly
them.
laxy-daisy because they didn't want anybody screaming about their human rights charter, right? And
Yeah,
they didn't
like
want
I
a
mean,
bunch of
it's a
people lined
joke.
up at a courtroom. And they're thinking, oh, and then these people are now they're throwing the tickets out. No, they're not. That's a big fat lie. That's propaganda coming out of the right side of things. They're not throwing those tickets out. They're not squashing them. The judges are not. The judges are handing over injunctions to stop this shit. So when you sit there and you're telling people, oh, everybody's tickets, just go get a ticket because they're just throwing them out anyways. No, they're not. That's a lie. That's another lie coming out of the right side of things that they're lying to you about. And that's the thing. Like, you have to break down when you're watching and you're listening to this stuff that it's a lie.
Yeah.
It's a lie. So
Yeah.
either you listen to people that lie and you continue to believe the big lie, which, you've got it going on in Quebec too, because you got Legault with the big lie about language. You got Trump down in the States who lied to the American people for 4 years. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I do.
I mean, Trudeau lied about, SNC, whatever, blah, blah. What the fuck? They all lie.
Well, it's human, and the other thing is, let's be honest. Like, would we? I like to think that I would do so much better, but I'm human too. Like, they're human, and the great, the thing is, we should want to make our democracy stronger and get more engagement from people. Like that's what, the healthier we can make our democracy, the better our society, the more health and wellness we'll have in our society. We have to get, encourage people to engage and yes, protest, but these people have no
Right
idea what
time, right
freedom
place.
actually means.
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, I'm the first one. Like, if I actually honestly believed that the government was lying to us, and that we were being oppressed, and that I needed to go and stand up for my rights and go throw myself at the mercy of an MP. Okay, go talk to your MPs and all your stuff. Do it the right way. Like I said, these guys out here in Cranbrook too they're not even protesting legally. They're standing out on the side of the highway, which is totally illegal, right? You should be doing it in a public place. You do it in front of City Hall. Or you get permits. I mean, the public streets are not free for you to do these things. It's a privilege in Canada to protest too, as it is. I mean, it's our freedoms and right. We have a charter, but that charter, sorry to tell people, was really actually maintained because we were leaving the Commonwealth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And the Commonwealth left us with absolutely no human rights. Ask Australians, because they're still part of it. Or they're not. They're not part of the Commonwealth. But when they left the Commonwealth, their government didn't demand any human rights when they wrote their charter. The people didn't demand any. They treat their Aboriginals and their Indigenous people 12 times worse than we ever would think of treating ours. But you don't hear everybody fucking screaming about the Australians. But they have absolutely no human rights down there. Zero, zip, none. When they locked Australia down, that was lockdown. That was, you aren't leaving your house, and they will come. Their cops are brutal down there. And you definitely don't want to be a brown man or a black man in downtown Sydney, I've been told. Especially after hours. They're brutal. and that's a Commonwealth country like ours. The same forefathers or heritage, that was sent, to Australia is still British, English, Dutch, whatever, East Europeans, and this is how they treat their people down there. So we should be really goddamn thankful that we've got anything in Canada, because they were still dealing with the monarch, and you were still dealing with the Brits, and you were still dealing with all these governments as a Commonwealth, right? Like, Pierre Trudeau fought really hard for us to have some dignity as Canadians, and we give him absolutely no credit.
Yeah,
we slander him as Westerners, and and that's the thing, like the stigma.
Yeah, I know. It's I mean, we're not, we are engaged politically as a country better than probably a lot, but the way we engage is not necessarily healthier, because it's always a kind of a love-hate. And as much as you see like this bipartisanship and how toxic and dysfunctional it is in the United States, it's fun to watch, because it's sort of like, oh, it's sort of like, well, at least it's like we're not as bad as them, we like to think, but of course we're not that different. And when people think they're like born to hate Trudeau and to hate liberals, you know what I mean? And they're raised that way.
Well, exactly. That's a stigma,
and
right?
It's just like, oh man, when are we ever going to get past that generational?
Well, the stigma between East and West, like I said last week, it was like Westerners think, oh, those Francophone Frenchmen, and the French think, oh, those Western fuckers, like redneck fuckers.
Yeah,
right?
No, they're the same.
So
folks.
So you both something, you have this, the same discontent on either side. Nobody's willing to meet in the middle. You know what I mean?
The beauty is though, one good thing that I will say about the fact that the West developed all this oil is that a lot of Quebecers moved there. A lot of people from the East Coast moved there. There's a lot of people from Newfoundland and Alberta. You know what I mean? Like, the good thing is, so then, it would have had to, it definitely must have changed, the landscape a little bit, but for sure.
Well, a lot of people from Quebec at one point in time used to come down here to pick fruit too. And it was, because there was no work in Quebec during the 70s, 80s, right? So there was a lot of, I know Creston, Kelowna, Penticton, all through the orchards all over. When the orchards were in full swing, that was something that happened. And then when Stephen Harper and Jason Kenney decided to allow temporary foreign workers to come into Canada and take over the fruit picking, basically, industry, our Quebec brothers and sisters no longer come out west to pick fruit, because they bring up temporary foreign workers from other countries.
I know. We even in Quebec, there's many that come from Mexico every year. I mean, but it's also people don't want to do those jobs anymore.
That's
true.
Yeah, and let's face it, that dock on the St. Lawrence employs a lot of people down east, right? Like, you've got those huge docks off the St. Lawrence in Montreal. You've got huge docks down there. Same with Vancouver, Tofino. Those docks employ thousands and thousands of people. Well, we don't have that within the midst of, like, in where I am, for example. In the middle of the country. Yeah. We don't have that industry here. So we rely on, like you said, the oil, the logging, the mining, the other industries that are within, our realm of what we've got. Resource based, right? Yeah. And I think a lot of Canadians don't understand that too, is that we are resource based. Canada is built on the on the shield, our resource shield, where it's like, you get granite and diamonds and gold and silver. Like, that's where we sit. Coal, unfortunately, and it's unfortunate that it does such harm to our environment and our climate to be able to get to these resources, right? And that's the unfortunate thing, that it really tears up the land to get to anything that we need, because you have to drill, dig, tear up trees. Like, it's just ridiculous what we actually do as men to make industry to our land. But I guess it's half past the hour, my dear. We better pay some bills and play a couple commercials so that we can keep on having our show.
Okay, the commercials are great.
Yeah,
I think the commercials are beautiful. So.
They are. We'd like to thank our sponsors. Away. Yeah, and we're right back. You've been listening to us live on paceradio.net.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
The People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada is an organization working to improve cannabis legalization in Canada. They have a mission and values that includes all Canadians, no matter where they come from. The values are including everyone, as no one should be excluded from participating, equality, diversity, advocacy, along with cannabis education and research, plus industry, safety, and professional standards. If this is an organization that has the same values as you, check them out at peoplesallianceofcannabisincanada.ca. Once again, People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada.ca. Check them out.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
The People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network provides its listeners with news, information, and a place to be heard. This is done with a twice-weekly broadcast of the Reefer Reporters and by providing cannabis advocates a place to be heard through Cannabis and Coffee to Marijuana and the award-winning Pace Radio Show. Catch it all here at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains, and when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed, and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
What is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network? It's a network of people advocating cannabis education.
CTCP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CTCP.
Who has huge buds? You do. If you shop at BMA Hydroponics, attend one of BMA's educational seminars and learn the secrets of growing, harvesting, processing, and consuming quality cannabis and cannabis products. Learn how to make better extracts, edibles, and medicinal creams at prices you can afford. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive, Belleville, or call 613-967-9888. The only way to go.
We are People Advocating Cannabis Education here at paceradio.net.
And we're back. We're back. It's Loretta Clark here in Montreal, Quebec, and Wild Tea in Cranbrook, BC.
Yeah, this is, like I said, the second episode of our show. I don't know if anybody's listening or not. Really, like,
but we're having fun,
right? And that's the whole point of this. Like everyone else said, if you want another show, you got to figure out how to do the board and do it yourself. I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm gonna get this done. I got it done. And so now
smarty pants. You're smarty pants. That's
no,
why.
I'm really not. Like, I had to tell my worker today, like, when she phoned, I actually have nothing done. I showed her the paper because I found a course that I wanted to take. Unfortunately, it's a 4-year university bachelor's degree for law and governance, so they won't fund that. But in order to get to that governance and law course, it's a 4-year bachelor after. You have to have a 2-year diploma from a paralegal diploma first from one of these schools to get to that. And I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to do that, then I can get to that. I don't know. But I went and looked.
You'll figure it out.
I was looking at doing drug and alcohol counseling, and then I thought, you know what? I'm too much of a bleeding heart. I would put too much emotional. I would kill myself with that. I would be burnt out. I would be emotionally attached, emotionally involved, and I can't be emotional. At least the law is black and white. At least the law, I don't have to. And if you're a paralegal, you're in the background doing the paperwork and doing the organizing and doing the research. You're not really, standing in front of a court, getting emotionally involved or attached to any client. So I'm going to stick to the law.
Yeah, great idea.
Probably better that way.
You could be very good at it.
I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, now I'm just I'm going to wait till September when Taven goes back to school, and I'll start CDI then. Because I was already accepted previously with CDI College, but I wasn't able to get funding. Through Work BC, they will get me funding from the BC government for disability, because of my disability, I can't work as a hairdresser anymore. So because I can't work in my field of trade, the BC government will fund part of my course, and then the Columbia Basin Trust has grants and stuff for old people and, disabled people, and she'll figure out a way to get me money to go to school. They won't fund me to live. Like, they're not going to pay my rent and my groceries and that kind of stuff. They will pay for my courses. And I'll have to keep a certain grade point average up too, or I'll have to pay the money back. So it's an incentive to go to school. And
yeah, for sure. It's
something
idea.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I was sick. I was going to go in February, and then BC Student Loan said, "Fuck you. We're not giving you any money. You didn't finish paying off your first student loan from the first time you went to university, so fuck you." So I couldn't get funded, so I didn't get to go. But now I found a way around that, and I'm going to go. There's a lot of courses online you can take. Like, I was doing some research the other day because of this, and you can actually take some alcohol counseling and drug counseling courses online that are actually offered to medical professionals that are free. They are basically set up for people that are already in the industry, working with drug addiction, working within medical profession with drug addiction, and it's also open to the general public. And it's online. Excellent. And it's free, and it's through the University of British Columbia. That's so fantastic. You can Google all that kind of stuff too, and take that kind of stuff if that's something that anybody's interested in. Another thing I want to talk about too is Miss Haley Jade Rose, because we've got the fundraiser up, the GoFundMe's up. It's not getting too much traction, so I'd like to just mention that if anybody can spare a little bit, that would be great to start getting her rolling, because I even said to Cheryl, like, I don't even have anything to start donating right now. I'm so sorry, but at least it's up. So we got the GoFundMe up, and they've got to move, and we've got to get her vehicle, because they probably have to move farther away from VGH than they already are. So
that sucks, yeah, and it's so hard. And, our society really needs to change its infrastructure, because, we're really not accessible. We think we are, but, we need to change our architecture, everything, in terms of making it more accessible. And so, one of the things that does upset me a little bit about the language issue is that, we really need to learn some things from the nonverbal and the hearing impaired community, and so we need to really be inclusive in that regard as well, and not also just thinking like only like English and French. Like, we're so many languages.
I know. The indigenous languages that we have are really important too. Like, they need to be recognized. The indigenous languages need to recognize it. We need to teach them in schools. We need to teach our children about what happened and about indigenous peoples before even their own people. Well, not, you know what I mean? Like, it should be just hand in hand. It should be hand in hand.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got this petition going. What else have you been up to besides, harassing everybody in Montreal about the lounges? Which is a good thing. It's a good thing we have you harassing everybody in Montreal about lounges. Like, seriously.
I'm talking to a really nice young man, and he's very interested in, hopefully, we're starting the conversation on having like maybe a weekly event, and maybe 1 week it'll be burlesque, and maybe 1 week it'll be comedy, and the glass blowers may be blowing glass, twice a month or maybe more. Like, it depends on them because they would have to, haul a lot of stuff to get to a point to do it. But, we'll have like a glass table there for sure. And maybe some other arts and crafts and emphasis on crafts.
I think that's great. Well, and that's another thing that COVID's really fucked up is our markets. Like, let's face it, like, if you keep it on the DL, you have a little picnic in somebody's yard, or a little picnic at the park, somebody sets up a tent with a table with a few cookies on it, and who the fuck's gonna notice? You know what I mean? Like, in reality.
My friend and I was working in my friend's garden today, which I really enjoyed doing, and we were talking about how, since restaurants and bars have been pretty much closed or just open for takeout, that the parks are really full. Like, you really see a lot of people in the parks. And I think people are like kind of doing their takeout in the parks. And there's a lot of parks too that have barbecues and stuff. So, but the parks seem to be like, people are really using the parks like crazy, like more.
Did you see those people that have got trucks that are just getting tables and chairs and getting their take-up and pulling up in their restaurants' parking lots? And pulling out tables and chairs in the back of their trucks and eating their meals in the back of their trucks. I thought that was the greatest idea because I guess in Alberta they're not allowing patios, right?
Yeah.
Are they allowing patios in Quebec or no patios?
No.
See, here we've got patios.
No,
here in British Columbia they're allowing patios. So in Alberta, that's where I was seeing. I think it was in Toronto that these people have a half-ton truck. And they just went and got themselves a little table and two, like, just cheap chairs, and they just set up in their back of their truck. They pull up in front of their favorite restaurant and order their dinner, pick it up, takeout, and go sit in the parking lot of their favorite restaurant and enjoy their meal. It wouldn't be so bad, except for it's been windy as hell today here.
We've had beautiful weather here, and like my buds and I were talking about this, and even like, we're all like so desperate to make money. Like, how can we sell hamburgers and hot dogs in the park? And also be, that's, what I mean? That's how we'll like present ourselves,
Yeah.
So, always sort of thinking about how to, make some money. It's always
entrepreneurial. I know. Well, I mean, and that was a hard time. Like, Cranbrook has got so many restaurants already, and we've got some really good restaurants here in town. But they've also just opened at Edo, Japan. Apparently, there's a bubble tea place opening, and they've done all of this. Like, we had Twisted Peaks, it's a yogurt place in town, opened up a year ago, exactly yesterday. So they opened up during COVID, and they've had a full year of fully successful serving people outside. Picking up, taking out. People have really pivoted. And if you open during this pandemic time where it's always just been like takeout, that's it.
Yeah.
That's all they've got. That's all they know. And food trucks are another thing that are, something that you can pivot to. Where, you have a food truck. You take your food truck wherever, people will follow you. You don't have to provide seating for anybody if you have a food truck. So again, that's another entrepreneurial idea. I mean, I know that there's quite a few of them that's been an idea for a decade. It's not a new idea, but again, food trucks are somewhere where you don't have to provide seating, right? No, that brick and mortar. I think, and a food truck's a great idea for cannabis too. To be honest,
I know. I often thought of that. Like, how about if we had like a head shop? Naomi was talking about this one. To have a head shop,
a revolving moving head. Yeah.
But of course we'd be doing a little selling on the side, But we have our head shop and also like cleaning out people's bongs and pipes, like a little cleaning service. I kind of like that. I thought that could be really cute.
What people like. Well, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be another idea. Like I said, there's all kinds of great ideas, but because we have legalization now, we can openly talk about these ideas.
No, we have to go underground again. It's ridiculous.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I guess, yeah, in some aspects we really do. Because, I mean, if you want to do crafting and you want to have actually decent cannabis, it's all underground again. Of course it is. But, again, we still have our Indigenous brothers and sisters that are putting out some decent medical. I'm not complaining. I've been going out to the res here regularly, and I'm happy with the quality. I'm happy with the price.
Great.
I had to give up selling completely because it was just pointless. I can't keep up. I can't keep 20 different strains in my house, and I don't want the traffic of that many people coming to my home. Like, it's not worth it to me. And helping patients now, I just have to tell them, go to the res. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody wants to, where do you guys go to the res? You know, and I was really wanting to try some of that Bull Rider that's a Michelle Rainey medicinal strain. Well, I'm not paying $60 for 3.5 grams. I'm just not.
Is that how much it is?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
something
a lot of
along
money.
them lines, yeah. Yeah, and I'm just not doing it. So I just said, no, I'm not paying that. Not doing it, no.
What's special about it?
It's the Afghani Bull Riders. So, in fact, I'm not even sure. I don't know if it's the same as it was before when Michelle was alive. I don't know. I haven't tried it. I've smoked some when Michelle was alive, but that, we're talking 15 years ago. Well, 13 years ago.
You had it then?
Yeah, because that was Michelle's personal strain. Michelle Rainey's personal strain. And now it's gone to the licensed production.
Okay.
So now you can only buy it at a licensed legal store at $60 for 3.5 grams.
Wow.
Well, I'm not saying only can. I mean, I'm sure maybe somebody's got some genetics somewhere else, or growing patients are growing it for themselves. I'm not saying that's the only place you can get it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know that that's where it's available.
Is it like super high THC? Like, why is it so much money?
Because I don't know. I have no idea why it's so much money.
Like,
because they're greedy. It
Did
shouldn't
you
make any
love it?
difference. Yeah, it was nice pod. But I mean, pod's pod is pod is pod. Whether it's THC levels, whatever, like, I'm sorry. Strains are, yes, I get it. There are better strains, there's chronic strains, there's better THC, CBD. But why is it got it? It doesn't grow any different. It doesn't cost any more to grow it. It doesn't cost any more to cure it. It doesn't cost any more for the nutrients for it. It all grows the same under the same lights. Why does it cost more fucking money? I get the fuck, you want to sell the tops of the plant for more than the lower parts of the plant. Okay, I understand that part. But it's still cannabis. Cannabis is cannabis is cannabis. You're still growing it in a large facility under lights that you're paying large amounts of, utilities. But average it out. You just want to make it so that this one's $20 a gram and this one's, I don't know.
Yeah, you've got a very good point there.
You know what I mean? Like, I get you want better stuff. Then everybody should be growing better stuff. Then it should all be high quality. You wanted me to pay $20 a gram or $10 a gram. I want it dancing. And if you want me paying $20 a gram, it better shit gold too while it's at it. You know what I mean? Like, I want it to blow my fucking hair back. If I'm paying $20 a gram, like, it better dance, it better sing, and it better fucking shit gold. Like, come on.
That's so funny. It's hilarious. Yeah, no, I know. What's the average cost there? I mean, I would say I don't even know what it is in the stores here, but ounces have gone way down.
Yeah, ounces are about $100.
They're like $80, $100 for a good ounce. So, I think the market is flooded here for sure.
Oh yeah, I think everything's oversaturation, like on all levels, even the stores. Yeah.
So, I mean, that was probably inevitable too, that there would be this process of a flooding, etc. Like with legalization, that could be anticipated. But of course, the LPs want to put pressure on, people who are still selling because they feel like they should be making more money. Like I find that premise to be
They
very
just want to cap
nervy.
patients. They
To
got
me,
that
it's just very
75-day
nervy.
consultation, right? Like trying to cap growing patients, growing from having, not being able to have the plant counts anymore because they're worried about diversion because people aren't buying their crap.
Well, also it's just people who are selling. Most people are just like surviving.
Yeah,
And
they're not even feeding
these millionaires just like they just think that they should be able to have it all. Like it's just I find that so disgusting.
Well, it's like that in every industry, whether it's cannabis, whether it's oil, whether it's the wind. Like let's face it, they're now putting these windmills up to harness the wind to create power so that they can charge you for air. You know what I mean? Like, you go to put air in your tire now, you have to have a loony or a toonie to put air in your goddamn tire. When did air become not free?
There's going to be an air tax for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I get carbon tax, but now you got to pay a loony to put air in your tires of your car. Like, it's like, when did air become like, alrighty? But like I said, the things have changed so much as we progress. But like I said, I'm not sure. I mean, Quebec, you have different taxes than we do out in British Columbia too. Even in Alberta, there's different taxes. I mean, the system, your provincial system's a bit different than ours. Even when it comes, like you said, you got universal daycare out there. We don't have that here.
I mean, in many ways, it's very left leaning or very socialist, I suppose, because yes, we have, they're very thoughtful about children. I will say this part of Quebec culture, and it goes way back. There's so many parks in Montreal, and they really think about kids, and they think about kids from have-not neighborhoods, because Quebec's always had, poverty issues that were pretty significant, in the past, I'd say. Visible, that were quite visible, and so they really, they do have a real heart for kids, and that's why there is that universal
daycare. As long as the kids don't wear burqas, though, right?
What?
As long as the kids don't wear burqas.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're not great on minorities, but they're very defensive about,
right?
If you can't, obviously their systems are systemically racist,
right?
But they
that was my point too.
And they get very defensive.
That comes from the Catholic Church too, which really kind of bothers me because a nun can wear a habit, but you're going to be offended by a burqa. And I mean, exactly. I'm an atheist. Like, I don't give a fuck what you wear on your head. You can put a fucking tinfoil hat on, dance down the street, fucking wearing, I don't know, whatever. I don't care. Bang your tambourine, do what you want, right? Like, I don't care. But I just find it really offensive that this Christian Catholic-based fucking bunch of society is all worried about being offended about somebody wearing a burqa on their head when you've been wearing habits, and monks have been wearing, like,
well, I mean,
dressing up like, fancy.
Absolutely, there's hypocrisy there. There's no question about that. And there aren't any nuns really, I don't think, around anymore. Like, I do feel like they've become, more invisible. Like, but they at one time dominated, everything in Quebec, healthcare and education, and so they were definitely a huge part of Quebec society in the past, absolutely, but not really anymore, because they're not, I just don't think young women. But I'm wondering,
that's what I'm wondering. But again, I'm wondering about the hypocrisy of it, because the fact that
totally hypocritical.
But again,
because they wanted no one to wear a religious symbol. But then they got this big crucifix in their assembly hall, and then they were like, yeah, we're just going to leave it up because it represents history. It's
right.
Like, what?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, if you can't see how biased that is, and that's what I mean, like, why can't people admit to their own, like, unconscious bias? Like, it's such a part of all humans, and to say there's no systemic racism, I mean, it's just crazy, because
which also goes back to the cannabis laws that they've got. Like,
What?
well, which also leads you back to the cannabis, prohibition that still exists in Quebec even after federal legalization. Like
It
because
just seems weird. It just seems weird. Like they're very like it's almost bipolar. And I shouldn't say that, because if bipolar people now will be mad at me. I know. Sorry,
sorry
bipolar. I
about
mean,
it.
it is like it's like there is this thing like where there's a lot of Quebecers really do demand their freedom, and they do have a certain swag about freedom on the street, the way they walk, the way they
Well, even you
walk.
see the
They
big
walk like a
rallies.
gang of
Where
pirates
you see the
across
big
the
rallies,
street.
it's always in Montreal. They're
What's that?
they're burning, they're rioting. Where are they? Quebec City
Yeah,
or
I don't like
Montreal,
that.
right?
I don't like that though.
Are
But
there? Where are the biggest, most of the biggest rallies usually are in Quebec. Like, let's face it, even when I was a kid, you didn't see anything going on anywhere, maybe a couple of people banging a tambourine downtown Toronto. You know what I mean? But then you look at Montreal and the streets are swarming with people. They're wall to wall, like it's almost like showing a Paris, shot of overhead Paris. It's showing overhead of Montreal. And like I said, yes, of course you don't like the rioting. And like I said, BC, the only time they were rioted was over a fucking hockey game. But you know what I mean? Like, that's the only time that they've given any emotion towards anything is over a hockey game.
I don't think it's unfair to say there's a bit of a French connection. You know what I mean? Like it also in France, they love to have a riot, and the Yellow Vest movement started there.
Yes, I
know what I mean?
But
they
I mean,
love
let's
to
face it, like
they do. They love to we had a French Revolution. We hate our government. They do love to
right?
have a. They do.
I'm all
they
down
love
for
to
these,
bitch,
yellow vests, the yellow vesters, like when it comes to human rights and. Like, okay, you're not happy. You're not happy with, the fact that you have to work and you have but in France it was started differently. It was because the taxes were raised so high and there was unemployment and people were not working and they were starving. Even like recently, because their government has put so many taxes onto their employment that they can't even work and feed their families because they're being overtaxed to death in income tax. Why the riots in France? Okay, is that happening in Canada? No. So why are you rioting? Why are you wearing a yellow vest here?
The Quebec economy, though, there's like such a huge underground economy in Quebec, and and the government knows it. Like it just.
But again, our government's not taxing us 75% of our income. Like the Canadian government's not charging. Like you don't go to work and 75% of your income goes to the government, and the government doesn't have any social programs for us to live on. That was going on in France. In Canada, we're paying whatever we pay for income tax. It goes into our coffers. We have great programs here. We have healthcare. We have education. We have all these programs, welfare in every province that they don't have in France. So when the yellow vesters in France started rioting, I got it. What the fuck are these idiots in Canada rioting or protesting for? Do you still have you still have unemployment? Your taxes are not 75% when you work, you stupid fuckers. Why are you wearing a yellow vest? They don't even understand what their fucking symbolization is for. So honestly, in Quebec, if you want to fight for your right for work, great, but you have the opportunity to have the social programs they don't have in France.
But
so
I thought a lot of the yellow vesters too in Canada were from the West. I think they were. Like I don't know. Like it became like
the yellow
something
vesters were because they didn't like Trudeau, and they don't like the carbon tax,
exactly.
And they don't think that nobody should have a carbon tax. Do they realize that every fucking dime they put into the carbon tax, you're getting a goddamn $1,000 rebate? So you won't even pay $1,000 in carbon tax ever in a year, and you're going to get a check back from the federal government for $984 for your inconvenience to say the word carbon tax. People don't they don't research because they don't want to know. I don't want to know. It's outside my box. I don't listen to politics. I don't watch the news. I don't want to hear about it. But they're the first ones to bitch about it and give out the wrong information and the misinformed. But they're the first ones that, but they actually don't even know what they're talking about. And then when you start explaining to them, they don't want to hear it. No, that's not what I heard. Oh, no, Trudeau would never. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Seriously,
this is where politics is really sick.
This is why I love having this show, because we can really like bang off, about what the actual truth of the matter is. Because you have a communications degree, I've got a political, science degree. I'm going back to school to be a paralegal. It's not like we're, not a couple of dumb, uneducated, women sitting here that haven't been on the front lines. You've been on the front lines. You live in Montreal. And that's why we're here. So this is about cannabis education, politics, and cannabis all across our country. And I guess it's time for us to wrap it up because our hour is over. So you better say something to, the people out there, because it's your show too, lady.
I love you, Quebec. And I am going to do everything I can to try and change the landscape here and bring lounges, have some pilot projects at bars and restaurants for a year, say, and then have the people involved actually be involved in making the regulation and what the licensing should look like, et cetera, et cetera. That's my kind of style, it's called community base, but it's all about recovery too. Like, we got to get the government to admit that the drug war was a heinous, horrific act, and they should say they're sorry for it, I'd like to see that before I die.
We're gonna
if I don't,
we're gonna have lots of time to progress. So anybody that's in Quebec, Loretta needs help. So this isn't just about Montreal. This is a provincial thing. So it means that you need to get off your asses and write your MPs, write your MLAs, MPPs, whatever the heck they're called MLAs here. MNAs out in Quebec. Yeah. Write them. Get off your butts and go sit in their offices, because that's what real activism is. Not going to some I'm anti-lockdown rally and standing there complaining about a mask. Get off your asses and actually do something, and go into an MP's office and talk to them about cannabis prohibition that still exists in Canada. Talk to them about the drug war that we've been fighting for the last 10 years or 20 years or 70 years in Canada. Talk about harm reduction, but go and talk to your MP. Go and talk to your MNA and your MLA and your MPP and your MN whoever and your MP. Stand at City Hall. Do a protest where it's legal to do so, and wear your fucking masks. That's all I gotta say. How about you? Peace out, everybody. We'll be back next week.
Peace out.
PaceRadio.net. Thanks for listening, everybody. Y'all have a good night. When I think about those nights in Montreal, all I think about is
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
The People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada is an organization working to improve cannabis legalization in Canada. They have a mission and values that includes all Canadians, no matter where they come from. The values are including everyone, as no one should be excluded from participating, equality, diversity, advocacy, along with cannabis education and research, plus industry, safety, and professional standards. If this is an organization that has the same values as you, check them out at peoplesallianceofcannabisincanada.ca. Once again, peoplesallianceofcannabisincanada.ca. Check them out.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
The People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network provides its listeners with news, information, and a place to be heard. This is done with a twice-weekly broadcast of the Reefer Reporters and by providing cannabis advocates a place to be heard through Cannabis and Coffee to Marijuana and the award-winning Pace Radio Show. Catch it all here at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains, and when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed, and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
What is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network? It's a network of people advocating cannabis education.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CTCP.
Who has huge buds? You do. If you shop at BMA Hydroponics, attend one of BMA's educational seminars and learn the secrets of growing, harvesting, processing, and consuming quality cannabis and cannabis products. Learn how to make better extracts, edibles, and medicinal creams at prices you can afford. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive, Belleville, or call 613-967-9888.
The only way to go.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.